and not just purely for the the dopamine hit, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's additionally hilarious because like I've talked to Vegas people about this particular thing because like it was a big deal when it was like happening, the whole like banning crypto gambling off of. Okay.
In 2018, the Supreme Court overturned a law that bans sports betting in most places in America, a decision that has led to our lives today, which is waking up and being absolutely waterboarded by sports gambling advertising.
America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel.
FanDuel Casino.
FanDuel.
Free chicken dinners with FanDuel Casino.
By gambling at
BetMGM Sportsbook.
BetMGM.
BetMGM.
What do you want from your sportsbook?
Please help me.
Helmet catch.
Stop guessing the helmet catch.
Is it the Caesars Sportsbook app with Caesars rewards where the more you play, the more stuff you earn, and they have fast payouts because Caesar is the man?
Yes! My God, they even got the Tennessee Kardashians. Sports betting has become increasingly normalized in America over the last 6 years. But critics wonder if beneath the legal gambling industry's rise looms a public health crisis of unknown proportions. So is regulated gambling a healthy future for sports entertainment? Or have we opened a Pandora's sportsbook, putting millions of people at risk of addiction? Let's fucking find out.
I've had my own throws with a crypto gambling casino.
Wow, that sounds healthy.
called Stake.
Oh,
which also then ended up getting banned off of this website that we're on right now, Twitch.
Yeah.
Which then turned around. I know the video is echoing because the noise gate is off. Shut the fuck up, chatters. That's why I'm like literally personally, doing my very best here to mute whenever. Okay, calm down. Anyway, as I was saying, Stake got banned off this website, which they then turned around and created their own competition to Twitch, but not really because they
they have a streaming.
Yeah,
is that what Drake does? Is that
Kick,
the Drake thing?
yes.
Oh, that's where Drake's been. Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's called Kick, and it's a website known for hosting Drake and everyone that's been banned from every other website for very valid reasons. And it's basically held up.
It's Drake and everybody who got canceled.
Yeah, like Aiden Ross and all of those guys.
Damn,
and
what an album that would be.
Yeah. Well, he might have Aiden Ross glazing up his penis apparently on the next album, as he said.
Is that the next dick video we're gonna get from Drake? Is him and Aiden Ross? That'd be cool.
Well, I don't know.
Did you see the Drake? Did you see his?
I did see his penis.
Yeah,
yes, I did already. I covered that. It was important news of the day, and we covered it.
It was.
So yeah, all right. Let's continue here.
Today, online sports betting is legal in 29 states and the freely associated island nation of Washington, D.C., with more states on the way. And with how quickly sports betting has become ubiquitous in American culture, it's easy to forget that gambling can actually kind of be bad for you.
We've now been able to show over the last 25, 30 years that when people who gamble, the same parts of the brain are being activated as if I were taking alcohol, tobacco, cocaine, or cannabis.
Dr. Tim Fong is the co-director of the UCLA Gambling Studies Program and a clinical professor of psychiatry.
It impacts
This guy's lame. Immediately. No, lame guy, dude. He doesn't like sports betting. Fuck this guy.
sleep, it impacts mood, it impacts finances, it impacts...
He's in the pocket of big, happy mental health.
Big happiness, dude.
Yeah,
they're out there, man.
He's in the pocket of...
Fucking soy boy Tim Fong.
Yeah, not pushing...
Goes to UCLA, too. Not surprising.
Yeah, libtard. All right.
Relationship.
Yeah.
And when you have a product that's being given out and regulated by the government, it's got to be regulated and it's got to be understood.
In 2013, the American Psychological Association officially classified gambling as an addiction. Meanwhile, since its 2018 legalization, sports betting has generated a gangbusters amount of economic activity in the U.S. $220 billion in bets were placed in just the first 5 years it was legal. There are now over 16 million average monthly users of the most popular sports betting apps. And next year, online sports betting revenue is expected to approach $12 billion. But to understand this growth trajectory, we gotta talk about something called Daily Fantasy Sports. Daily Fantasy is an online version of fantasy sports, and according to my wife, a terrible reason to have my phone out during our kid's baptism. Fantasy is when you pick a bunch of real players, assemble a fake team out of them, and keep track of their stats. But around 2010, a new turbocharged version of fantasy came onto the scene, where you could set new lineups as often as every day, play in apps on your phone, and crucially, put money down on the results.
So you had two competitors that really arose to the top of the market here, DraftKings and FanDuel.
Kenneth Vogel is a New York Times investigative reporter who was part of a team that wrote a series of major stories about the betting industry's rise in America.
And they made a business out of fantasy sports and allowed players to wager, not wager, but put money
problem is
on the
if like sports bet, like people who sports bet are so fun and funny.
Yeah.
And so, you know,
that is
they're
true.
awesome, dude. Like a lot of the comments that we saw on like we would watch TikToks of people who are like, you know, gambling, like gamblers help TikToks. Like, here's how you can stop gambling. And people are like, sounds like you suck at gambling, pussy. And you're like, that's hilarious, man.
Yeah, no.
Like, I want to hang out with that guy.
Skill issue. 99% of gamblers always stop right before they win.
It's
big.
right before they actually crazy quote. I don't think we had it in this episode, but Tim Fong was talking about. He said gambling is one of the only addictions where you think doing more of it is going to cure you of ever doing it. He was like, nobody sniffs cocaine and they're like, I'm never gonna want to do coke after this bump, you know. But gambling's the one where you're like, if I hit this one, you know,
I don't have to do it ever again.
I don't ever have to do it again because it'll pay off all my problems.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he touches on this, but like I remember doing a little bit of research myself while I was covering like the dangers of gambling.
Yeah.
And one thing that I always found very interesting is that it's not about the win at all, and it's not even about the loss. The dopamine hit, according to researchers, actually comes from the anticipation.
Yeah.
Like, so it has nothing to do with winning or losing. Like, what is addictive is chasing that dopamine hit over and over and over again. The not knowing what the outcome is going to be right before you make the bet.
Mm-hmm.
That is what is so addictive about gambling.
Perfect transition onto the stat that I was going to say before that, which was they measured the dopamine that you get from losing and the dopamine that you get from winning, and it's the same amount in a gambling addict's mind. Because it's just the act of gambling that gets people hooked. It's not like the winning.
Yeah, it's the anticipation, they say, that makes it so addictive.
Mm-hmm.
It's that's what they're looking for, the uncertainty.
Yep.
Yeah.
Performance of their teams, they would push back against the use of the term wager there.
Even though gambling on sports was still broadly illegal, Congress had previously determined that fantasy sports were actually a game of skill, not luck, meaning that putting money on the results wasn't gambling.
Technically, sports gambling is more skill-based. Like, obviously, it's still gambling, but that's the reason why, like, I don't know if you know this, but sports books will literally ban you, or they do this thing called limiting. Like, there's a way to leverage your bets in sports betting, apparently, where you can actually end up cleaning. You can actually basically end up cleaning the fucking coffers, and therefore, as far as I understand, if you win too much, they will limit your daily bets dramatically, so that you have no shot of like ever call arbitrage. Yeah, arbitrage betting. You can do that, but then also on top of that, it's basically like, you know, if you can count cards, you can't play blackjack in a casino, and if you're too good at sports betting, then you'll have match betting and you get your account banned and no access to deals has happened. It like every single establishment, if you're too good at gambling, they will fucking stop you.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, that's legal. I don't know.
There's we don't get to talk about this much in the episode. We put like the headline on the screen at one point, but there's this guy, Jim Chanos, who basically super rich dude who tried to short the gambling industry. But then recently, there's some Financial Times article about it. Recently, he like turned around his bet because statistically the gamblers in the US were losing so much money, like more than he expected. He was like, oh no, this industry's gonna fucking kill it, Because he thought like, oh no, the sports gambling industry, it's going to get regulated. It's never going to. And then people ended up making so much money off of it because people were losing bets and they were just becoming addicted so fast that he was like, no, it's going to do fine.
It also, I mean, it's an amplifier where like you're not going to be, it's such a great win-win. You're not going to be as enthusiastic about some fucking random, like, you're not going to watch the Bills if you're not a fan.
Yeah.
But if you're gambling, all of a sudden you're invested.
Oh,
you
dude.
actually have a level of investment, which translates to higher ratings, which translates to more revenue that you can generate for every single game watched. It's a perfect storm.
Yeah. Oh, if you're hooked, man, you're watching like teenage Thai boxing matches.
Yeah.
You're betting on like
exactly.
You're streaming those. We talked to this one. We didn't get him on the episode, but he was a gambling addict, and I asked him. I was like, so what's the lowest point that your addiction took you to? And he said at one point he was in college and he created fake Hinge profiles of women, and he would like start messaging dudes. And then gradually be like, by the way, here's my Venmo. Like, if we really want this going, like, you know, maybe you buy my plane ticket to come see you. And then he would get money from them, and then he would just use that for bets. And he was like, yeah, I was probably simultaneously 7 women at one point.
That's insane.
How nuts is that?
That's really fucking insane.
Reminds me a lot of an argument my high school friend Chaz used to make about the pullout method. The gray area in which these fantasy companies operated was pretty controversial, even at the time. A lot of state attorney generals and even some sportsbook CEOs publicly said that they considered daily fantasy to be gambling, but the industry saw it differently.
So you don't view what you do here at...
For the record, it absolutely is gambling. I know that it could come across as confusing what I was saying about like there is a skill component to sports betting. But of course, they neutralize that if you are too good at it. Something I did not know and was shocked by the way. Like they don't immediately ban you, as far as I understand. They will lower the amount that you can. They gradually or instantly lower the amount that you can gamble with until it's you're basically rendered useless.
Yeah. If you're not a fucking Sigma.
Yeah. You got to do it right. You can't win too much.
FanDuel is gambling. No. That's a word that isn't used very much around here, I take it.
Still, FanDuel and DraftKings clearly understood that they were operating in murky waters and made a huge lobbying push to defend themselves. And they were pretty successful. By 2017, 19 states had passed laws explicitly legalizing daily fantasy sports. But this effort wasn't just about creating a legal framework for daily fantasy. The industry's big kahuna was still out there, swimming around in the deep blue sea, just waiting to be caught. I'm talking about full-on sports betting.
Breaking news: the Supreme Court this morning striking down the federal ban on sports betting. Now it leaves it up to the states.
When that happened, the industry was ready to get lobbying, thanks to their powerful network of relationships in state capitals that they built during their daily fantasy push.
There was a lot of like whining and dining. That was my colleague Eric Lipton and a photographer who went out to
it's just a crazy moment, dude. This is literally a politician in Kansas getting lobbied, and they go to like a cigars and cars event where it's just this dude with this fucking torpedo cigar in his mouth, and he's just palling around with the lobbyists. It's like the most cartoonish like example of lobbying ever. It's so funny to me.
Seems you're a little jealous that he's getting his money up and you're over here getting your funny up.
That's true. Yeah, that's facts.
Yeah,
that's bars.
Kansas. This is a party that was sponsored by the industry, by lobbyists who were representing
the Legislative Cigar Caucus.
Yeah, that's the Cigar Caucus, dude.
That's awesome.
Industry. The lawmakers were smoking cigars and drinking expensive scotch that was provided by the lobbyists and sort of schmoozing with them as the debate was unfolding a few blocks away in the Capitol.
The industry's main arguments for legal sports betting, both then and now, are to fight black market gambling and generate tax revenue.
There's this big illegal market and there's no consumer protections, no tax revenue being generated. Why don't we just bring that in-house?
A lot of states are understanding that it's really just common sense legislation to allow mobile sports betting. It raises tax revenues and it puts an illegal market out of business.
And look, I know it's easy to go around bashing these
This is a pretty solid argument, by the way. I do agree. Like, that is the most solid argument you can make for it. The problem is you need to heavily regulate it, and I feel like they don't do that at all.
No.
Like,
I mean,
they don't even heavily regulate the places where you can do it. And there's two different ways of doing it. Obviously, you could just like ban it entirely and then prosecute those who violate it, which they don't do.
No.
And instead, they have basically been like, all right, well, let's create an avenue for tax revenue here.
Well, and they legalize it. And then they go, well, we're going to legalize it and then we'll regulate it based off of what happens after. But then it moves at such a quick pace after it's legalized. They're catching up to regulating it right now, which is, kind of what we get into later.
Yeah.
Especially when they got this mid-as-hell zoom background. What is this, a map of the lands you plan to conquer? Why do you have a black and white photo of the Industrial Revolution behind you? Come on, Matt. It could be worse. You've got some work to do, buddy. But my point, which I'm making very clearly and without getting sidetracked, my point is that the gambling black market is a problem, and regulating it would generate tax revenue.
One of our biggest concerns, we have so much of the unregulated sports betting market, right? So these are the websites that are based in who knows where. They take all electronic, financing, so they're not subjected to the regulations of the state. But trying to shut them down is impossible because you don't even know where they exist.
Now, it's impossible to know the exact size of the black market at this time, but some estimates had Americans illegally betting as much as $150 billion per year. But the industry's second point was that if states did vote to legalize, it would instantly create tax revenue.
One of the things that the sports betting industry had going for it, after 2018 was, it's sort of a perverse way to think about it, but it was the pandemic. I mean, the pandemic put a real dent in state budgets.
So the black market, the promise of tax revenue, state budgets absolutely decimated by the pandemic. It was the perfect storm for sports betting companies to capitalize on, and capitalize they have.
There's a huge investor appetite around it. The companies are turning over massive amounts of money. Everyone's very excited.
Oliver Barnes is a reporter for the Financial Times who's been covering the gambling industry both in the US and the UK.
Lawmakers are also quite excited, right? Because you're sitting in a state that's yet to...
Do you know the #1 place, by the way, for gambling and how devastating it is, apparently, #1 country?
Oh, yeah. Do you want me to kind of guess?
You say it.
Australia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My buddies are, they did a collaborative piece with the Friendly Jordies on it. And then the Friendly Jordies got like their fucking house firebombed and shit. There's like direct mob ties. Oh yeah. In Australia, if you're a YouTuber that's like covering the gambling
Aussie mob, damn, Australian mob's gotta be crazy.
It's so funny. You know what they call them?
What?
Bikies.
The bikies,
which is such a funny thing because it's like you can't be like a serious thing.
No.
when
it's the bikies.
It's the fucking bikies,
it's the
mate.
fucking bikies.
Yeah. So. It's pretty funny, in my opinion. I find it very funny because it's like it's the least threatening, scary group.
Yeah, the bikies.
Yeah,
he got firebombed by him.
His house got firebombed. We don't know who, but Friendly Jordies exposed a tie between the Australian politicians and like mobs. I believe for their connection to one another, and then and like gambling legislation and lack thereof. There was no direct evidence, but it happened right after he did an expose on money laundering. Yeah,
there's no direct evidence.
Yeah, it was fucking insane.
But there's no direct evidence, so we don't know what happened.
Yeah, and I think he was also threatened directly and forced to take down his video, and I think someone was arrested who did have
Jesus.
Yeah, see. Alameddine crime family associate charged over Friendly Jordies firebombing. An associate of the Alameddine crime family has been charged over last year's firebombing of the Bondi house of political commentator and YouTube satirist Jordan Shanks, known online as Friendly Jordies. He kind of looks like Aussie you, actually.
Yeah.
Like, look.
Let's see.
Wait, I'm going to show. He looks like...
Let's see what the chat says.
No disrespect to you, but he kind of looks like you if you went through the Chad filter.
He does look like Sigma me.
Yeah.
Look at that jawline.
Yeah.
Damn, I feel like he could like unhinge his jaw and swallow me like a python.
Yeah,
you know?
he's hot, mate.
Look at him. Wow.
Yeah. It literally hit the wrong horse first. Police fixated persons unit harassed him and his mates to total corruption. Yeah.
Wow.
I think he was a male model at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. Damn. Oh yeah, look at that. There's a photo.
He's not very funny though. He's not like funny at all. He's
it's just straight.
He's very serious. Yeah.
Yeah. And now he's on hiatus.
My other buddies that are friends with him, they're very funny. They went to you'd like them. Have you ever heard of Boy Boy?
No, who's that?
There's 2 channels. One is I Did a Thing, which does like tech engineering, like stupid engineering stuff. And then the other one is Boy Boy. They went to North Korea to get a haircut.
Oh wait, I saw the thumbnail for this, but I hadn't seen the video.
Yeah, they like traveled to North Korea to get a haircut to dispel mainstream narratives about like the silliness of like North Korea, where everyone has to get a fucking Kim Jong-un haircut.
Did they pull it off? They do it?
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
wow.
It was sick.
I gotta see this. Oh, there it is.
North Korea, the most dangerous country.
But yeah, they also.
Would have said it's pretty eye-opening.
No, it was stupid.
Pretty eye-opening.
Love them. Oh yeah, this is from North Korea.
What is this? You have
this poster. They got me. That literally.
They got you this?
Yeah, Otto Warmbier could never.
You haven't checked this for cameras at all?
No, they're my.
This is watching us right now.
I don't think North Korea has.
What does
like,
it say?
Secret camera tech. I forgot. I think
This
it might
is
be like
insane.
a Christmas. Is it an Easter poster or some shit like that?
Does anybody know what this says?
I forgot. I remember doing the translate shit back in the day. But yeah, this is literally from North Korea.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's crazy. How long have you had this for?
I've had this for a year.
How many times have you been firebombed?
Well, I live in America.
We don't do that here. We don't do that here ever.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
The setup is so.
Oh, it says Happy New Year. It says to run the top of the hour ad break. Yeah, I'm gonna run it right now. Let's go. Hold on.
Do an ad break right here.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
This is my first Twitch stream ever. I've never streamed. This is the first time.
This is a little bit more chaotic than I would say the average Twitch stream is, but it's more like a podcast setting too in some way. So it's a more comfortable format that you might be more familiar with. But
do you do an ad read right now or what?
No. I just run a 3-minute ad break. Most people don't even see it because they're subscribed.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, got it. I didn't know if we were about to do like a joint Dude Wipes ad read or something like that. I didn't know.
Yeah,
if I was gonna be roped into it.
No. I wouldn't do that to you. Don't worry. That'd be awkward.
That'd be so awful. All right, you can fuck off now, Dan. Thanks.
Yeah, it just says Happy New Year.
Look at that. Wow, somebody did that fast.
Yeah, there's 22,000, 23,000 people in here.
Wow.
Yeah. A Dude Wipes ad, incredible. You know about Dude Wipes? Yeah, I mean, I was just talking about it earlier today.
How can you not? I've listened to a podcast before.
Yeah, I was just talking about Dude Wipes earlier about how like my water heater is busted currently, so I had to use a Dude Wipe to shower myself with. It was like a shower wipe.
It worked. Did you feel clean after, or
no? It was also from a. It was like from a fucking.
This is the worst ad read ever.
Well, I didn't do an ad for them. They just send it to me. So like brands will send shit to me when they want me to do ads for them.
Right.
And then I just usually don't end up working with them anyway. So I just had it from like years ago.
Yeah. This is me actually just sneaking sponsored Dude Wipes content into the stream.
You're like Dude Wipes number
I'm
one.
like, but Dude Wipes are so clean and comfortable. And
what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so that's what happened to Friendly Jordies.
That's nuts.
So watch out. If you ever travel in Australia, don't talk about gambling.
Yeah, just go gamble. They love it there.
They do love gambling.
The pokies.
The most addictive. I mean, the most suicidal addiction, as far as I understand, as well.
Yeah, I read that stat as well.
Yeah.
Legalize sports betting, you have a whole load of tax revenues you can just switch on there overnight.
But in reality, many states who have voted to legalize have seen less tax revenue than expected.
The industry, the sports betting companies and the gambling trade groups push for lower tax rates.
While lobbying for legalization in states like Kansas, the industry argued that the best way for states to maximize their tax revenue would actually be to tax betting companies less, because it would create an easier market for the companies to operate in. Okay, whatever you say, Mr. Businessman. All right. But in 14 jurisdictions that legalized and followed the industry's tax advice, revenues in 2022 were nearly $150 million less than predicted. And in addition to negotiating lower tax rates, the industry also convinced many states to classify huge chunks of their advertising spend as tax write-offs.
When we talk about deductions for advertising and marketing, what we're really talking about is the promotional bets. And so what that is you see an ad and it says, get your first $100 of like free bets, or like we'll match your first $100 or what have you. And this is like an incentive that the gambling companies are using to bring in new customers. And what they...
Oh, another fun fact is, I don't know if you mentioned it in the video as well, but the way that they get away with this, other than obviously it's a tax write-off for marketing, the reason why you might be shocked, like why are they giving so much free money away, is because gambling companies do not generate revenue off of like the casual gambler that goes in and like fucking pulls the slot machine one time.
Yeah, and then dips.
They make money off of the whales. They make money almost entirely off of lifelong degenerate gamblers who are hooked on the addiction. That's it. That's how they do it.
Well, it's why when you see a gambling ad, it goes, hey, your first 5 bets are free, and then we give you more money. And we do get into this on a promotional ad that's DraftKings is being sued for in Massachusetts. But it's all just about getting people hooked. That's all they care about. You know, it's like why Robinhood was gamified. You know, they were going to make money off of people that became addicted to trading stocks. It's the same thing that, you know, social media companies use to get you addicted to like Instagram or like Twitter or whatever the hell.
Yeah. No, it's really fucked up because they're trying to cast as wide a net as possible to find like one out of like the 10,000, well, not one, but like if one out of the every 100 person becomes a whale for them, becomes like a lifelong degenerate gambling addict who will most likely suffer, then it's worth it. It's worth the money. Like they've done the research behind the scenes to figure out exactly how many hits it takes to trigger find the one guy who's going to be a fucking gambling addict.
And it's going to be dudes between the ages of 18 and 25. That is their target audience. We talk later about how they have like partnerships with college campuses, but that's what they're looking for. They want dudes whose brains aren't fully developed yet, who are just starting to get money, and they're watching sports and they're surrounded by a bunch of friends who want to just like fucking parlay at the bar, you know?
Yeah, I think that I think that that's why like the most devastating impact of Barstool has been this specifically, I feel like, because it goes back to what you were talking about before. It's like they're so fun.
Oh, they're hilarious.
Like they're so funny.
They're a great hang, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
You know who's not a good hang is fucking me.
Yeah, fucking people who are annoying about like taking your fun away.
Actually, fellas, this is pretty bad for you.
Yeah, exactly. No, literally.
Yeah, no,
I know that personally. Like I have many enemies now in that field.
Yeah,
especially on the crypto side, which is shitty because like I also personally love gambling. Like I'm a fucking what is it? Like I have like a where is it? Hold on. Let me find this real quick. Yeah, I have like a fucking. No, this is not the right one. Where's my card? I have like a bunch of different cards. Like I got go to Vegas. Like I have a host.
Yeah. Oh, you got it. Damn.
Yeah. No, I have I'm a MGM Gold card at this like 2 steps below like the maximum card that you can get, and basically like I have my player's card and everything, and the thing is like I enjoy it. I'm able to like the way I do it is like if I get like this level of comp, I'm gonna spend it on gambling.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's the limitation that I have regardless.
Setting some load on yourself.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly. So
but dude, if it's on your phone, there's none of that.
Exactly.
There's none of that.
And you don't get any of the fucking benefits. Like the entire Vegas industry is propped up to like hook you in and make it entertaining, and not just purely for the the dopamine hit, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's additionally hilarious because like I've talked to Vegas people about this particular thing because like it was a big deal when it was like happening, the whole like banning crypto gambling off of Twitch, and obviously they kind of loved it because they see it as like massive competition. So they're like all in favor of eliminating the competition. So I guess I'm not as hated in Vegas.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think all of this is just horrible.
Well, and it's the goal, which we kind of mentioned towards the end of this, though. You know, it's not over. Sports gambling was a step in the process, but the next one is iGaming that they want. I mean, then that's fully legalized gambling on your phone. Some states have it, but not as many as online sports betting. But once iGaming is legal on phones, you don't need to go to a casino anymore. You live in a casino. If it's on your phone, you essentially live in a casino. You can access it whenever, and if it's the most addictive thing that you have on your phone, you're never going to leave.
Yeah.
You know?
It's really
they did
fucked
was
up.
they convinced lawmakers in most.
Don't support the unethical gambling and betting industry, even if you can control yourself. What do you mean? Like, dude, it's the same as alcohol. Like, alcohol is awful.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if we invented alcohol today, dude, you would not see as many ads for it. If it just came out today and it was first introduced, it would not have the same, prevalence in advertising as it has now.
Yeah, 100%. But it's fun. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna
fun as hell.
I'm not gonna sit around and be like, yeah, this shit, like we should. I'm not in favor of like complete prohibition. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Again, if there's something that we keep going back to, it's just like, but also like my friends who gamble are a lot more fun than I am. You know, it's anything in moderation. You know, but also again, that's what these companies don't make a profit off of moderation. That's the whole business model. Like you said, they need whales to survive as a company and to continue growing. So moderation is not their goal. It's not what they're working towards. And that's and we don't really say in the video, like gambling is awful for you and you should never do it. It's more so just like, look at what people are trying to build here, you know, which not a lot of people are always aware of.
Yeah.
Most states to allow them to deduct the cost of these promotional bets.
No, I think like one of the major things, we keep pausing the video, I'm sorry. I think one of the major things is like limiting how easily you can access it. Like you can't, like even with alcohol, it's devastating. It's a devastating addiction, right? I mean, I famously, as I've talked about before on this broadcast, was arrested for a DUI. Never prosecuted. I'm still evading the law. Okay. But like I had issues with that 100% back in the day. And even then there's still a degree of separation from like seeing it and immediately being able to get alcohol. Right. Whereas like with mobile gambling, you have no restrictions and you can do it as a child, basically.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
you can
it's
you
right
can
on your
just do
phone.
it, and many children do it, specifically on crypto gambling casinos online.
Yeah.
2022 alone, the industry gave out almost $1 billion in these promo bets, costing states more than $120 million in potential taxes. States are losing money on promotional bets. I'm losing money on promotional bets. You and I aren't so different after all, Kansas. Maybe this could work out between us. And though tax revenue generated by the industry post-legalization has been underwhelming, you might say the opposite about its approach to marketing.
Spreads to cover, overs to hit, and chances to live bet from the first down to the final whistle.
Download BetMGM. You know what to do.
The industry spent about $300 million on TV ads in 2023 and an estimated $1.8 billion in local markets. This marketing push even made it to college campuses. One deal between Michigan State and Caesars Sportsbook lets Caesars Caesarize part of its campus. Another between Colorado Boulder and PointsBet gave the school $30 every time one of their students signed up for the app and placed a bet. Granted, there's a lot of backlash to these deals. The lead gambling industry trade group now prohibits marketing on college campuses. And since then, Michigan State, Colorado, and other schools have canceled their partnerships. But what's so bad about these ads anyway? Getting Caesarized sounds fun.
The public health issue is that this is an addictive product.
Oh, I get it. Too fun. Richard Daynard is the lawyer who designed the litigation strategy against the tobacco industry, resulting in Big Tobacco coughing up over $200 billion and changing the way they market cigarettes. We lied and told him we were 60 Minutes, and he agreed to tell us about his next target, the sports betting industry.
There's the denial of dangers, presenting this thing as simply a harmless way to have fun. March 10th, of last year, of 2023. That was the day that sports betting was unleashed in Massachusetts. There was just massive marketing. You know, there'd be trash containers, it'd be on the side of buses, as well as on, you know, television. Just about anything you turned on would have an ad for, you know, one of the companies.
Unfortunately, it's been a while since I've turned anything on, Professor. Daniels Public Health Advocacy Institute recently backed a lawsuit in Massachusetts against DraftKings, and its focus is on one of those fun tax write-off promotional ads. According to the lawsuit, DraftKings knowingly and unfairly designed a $1,000 sign-up bonus. The effect
you'll see this is the kind of promotional bet or ad that we were talking about earlier, which is how they get people hooked with false advertising. So I just wanted to call that out before we get to this point.
$1,000 comes in the form of additional bets, which customers could only get if they first deposited $5,000, risked $25,000 within 90 days, and bet on events with worse odds than 3-1. Which,
you know what this reminds me of? It's like they hit it from the angle of like nefarious marketing, and it's always funny when like the worst thing you can do in business is not to like, you know, put out a faulty product that ends up killing people, but is instead lying to investors. So like Theranos, for example, comes to mind, where, you know, it's not engaging in like fraudulent business practices in the medical field, but instead it's actually lying to shareholders that ends up getting you in actual legal trouble. And this almost feels like a version of that, where they're not regulating any of the stuff that they should be. And this makes it seem like there's at least some level of regulation. See, we're touching on not all of the advertising, but at least the advertising that is hiding the additional qualifiers.
Yeah, this is really all you could sue them on is false advertising. But the rest of it, if it's just Kevin Hart telling you to download DraftKings, can't really sue him for that. You know?
And it's wild because like I can't even think of like any, like I really don't know if we have any serious regulation restricting like the type of advertising you can do on this field or any of the vices in general, really, since like I guess like the 90s or 2000s. I can't really think of anything like that.
There's it's kind of state by state right now. I know we talk about it in a bit, but like Maine, for example, you can't have entertainers do ads. So I think maybe if there's like, you know, like Jamie Foxx in a BetMGM ad, you can't air that in Maine or something.
Yeah.
But also, like, what's that going to do, you know?
Well, you protect the people of Maine a little bit, marginally.
Yeah. So right now, but again, it's state by state, right? So the regulation is catching up to legalization like years following. So it's
inevitably, when enough congresspersons like children kill themselves, you'll have like at least passionate enough people.
Should we do something here? Should we?
Passionate enough elected representatives that will turn around and make this their like pet project. And like you will get some level of like restrictions, or at least Jamie Foxx will have to at the end of the advertisement be like, and if you gamble, it's the most suicidal addiction. Gambling is really bad.
Yeah, it's super fast though.
Yeah, like exactly. Similar to, depending on the severity, similar to like, you know, all the warning signs they put on fucking cigarettes and shit like that.
doesn't sound like I'm going to get $1,000.
The idea is for you to continue to bet, which is the way you develop and heighten an addiction, which is you keep at it, you keep doing it. We hope to, you know, encourage, you know, other litigation. This is hardly the only deceptive ad running in the United States.
And there is some backlash building.
We don't see cannabis ads on TV, do we? We don't see a lot of tobacco ads on TV anymore. And all that.
Which sucks. Because smoking is so cool.
Again, Tim Fong, pussy.
Yeah,
I called him that to his face in the interview. We had to cut it out.
I'm glad that you're doing the right thing by being a bold truth teller.
Has an impact on what people think and feel about that product, right? When you look at the gambling ads right now, They're all 120% positive.
Regulators in Ohio doled out almost $1 million in fines last year to betting companies for advertising that customers could make free bets. Massachusetts and other states have moved to legally ban advertising on college campuses. And all the way up there in Maine, lawmakers proposed banning cartoon characters, celebrities, athletes, and entertainers from being able to appear in ads. Which might sound extreme to us here in America, but is actually very similar to the way that lots of other countries regulate gambling advertising.
In the UK, there's like a whistle-to-whistle ban on football matches. You can't advertise like during a football match in terms of like TV commercials. Because of the advertising environment where you're bombarded with ads, it's very difficult to kind of escape that habit of like recurrently gambling.
The UK has also banned gambling logos on the front of Premier League jerseys, and other regulators want to move even further. In Australia, gambling ads are banned during games between 5 a.m. and 8:30 p.m. In Belgium and the Netherlands have fully banned gambling advertising on TV, radio, newspapers, and in public spaces. And these regulations are all a reaction to the way that gambling has proliferated in these countries post-legalization. The UK Gambling Commission earlier this year said that as many as 2.5% of their adult population could be problem gambling. Meanwhile, in Australia, citizens lose more gambling per capita than in any other country. And some worry that if the
fucking skill issue, dog.
There it is. There it is.
If your country is known for taking the biggest collective L against fucking a bird, okay, then, you know, maybe you shouldn't take on gambling like that. Guy in the video kind of looks like the dude beside Hasan. Oh my God, I never noticed that.
What?
You do kind of look like him.
Who's the guy?
He's more handsome, I think.
Who's the guy beside? Oh, okay. Well, no, I mean, he's an investigator, and I'm his PR people.
Yeah.
He only hires people that look like him.
Yeah.
We're ex-BCG.
The U.S. isn't careful, we might not learn from these more mature markets.
The real issue is, are we escalating up to a tipping point where we could develop a gambling crisis, like a gambling epidemic like we had with opioids? I don't think we're there yet, and I think having these conversations now should, I think, prevent and mitigate a lot of those things like that.
Well, it's all in a day's work, Dr. Fong. Happy to solve a public health crisis whenever, sir. So outside of ad regulations, what are some options that we have to create a safer, legalized sports betting market? One obvious tool is self-exclusion, which just means giving people the option to tell these sports betting companies, hey, don't let me use these apps ever again. But US self-exclusion technology lags behind the UK's.
So I go to FanDuel and I say, I want to stop gambling, self-exclude me from FanDuel, which you can do in the US. But you then also have to go and self-exclude yourself from all the other apps. In some states, you can go to the state regulator and say, please self-exclude me from all of them. But in some states, that's an online process where you fill in a form. In some states, you literally have to write them a letter. And you compare that to the UK, where I go and ban myself from one betting app, they'll ban me from all of them. When you look at the US, the actual safety mechanisms in place, there's just considerably less of them.
Other areas where the US can make improvements include eliminating betting with credit cards, which 20 states allow, taking a closer look at live betting during games, where bettors can wager on things like how fast the next pitch will be, bets where the odds are more advantageous for the sports books than normal, and increasing the amount of public funding towards problem gambling resources. In fact, 9 states provided zero funding for problem gambling services in 2023, and according to Dr. Fong, problem gambling receives just a fraction of the resources versus comparable programs for drugs and alcohol.
Because the funding of gambling research and treatment compared to alcohol, tobacco, and substances is infinitesimal. It's tiny, barely registers.
Bars.
So we need to better.
This guy said, I self-excluded from a site. They told me I had to wait 24 hours to make sure I was sure. That's awesome.
There's a guy up there who said like he used to work at a casino and they dealt with a lot of people who were self-excluded. That's interesting.
Yeah. Oh, well.
24 hours. Are you addicted? Are you sure you're addicted though?
Yeah.
Or are you just a bitch?
In the 24 hours, you can also find out that, you know, you could have hit big.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
You could hit it big in that 24 hours.
I don't know, man. Because then it would solve all your problems.
Yeah.
It'd pay everything
pretty
off.
much.
Yep.
Better understand, how do we keep people in that lane of social, recreational gambling without harm?
Looking at all of these legal problems, lawsuits, and Kevin Hart telling me to download an app he probably doesn't use, it just makes me wonder if this has all been worth it. Is the industry right when they argue that the legalized system we're creating is better than just the good old black market? I don't know. What does someone with a smarter voice think?
There's some truth in it, right? Which is, yes, they shifted a large number of consumers from the black market where there are no protections at all into a regulated market where there are some protections. But for me, I think the main thing that's understated in all of that is just the denominator. But if you just have more people exposed to gambling products, you're likely to get a large number of people who face the negative side effects of gambling, which is a small proportion. But if you have hundreds of millions of people using the product, it's large, right?
I think it's disingenuous to say that, you know, this is a safer environment for all these people, because a lot of those people would not have been gambling, I imagine, on sports unless it was just shown to them all over and all these ads and everything.
Saul Malik is a former gambling addict who now travels the country speaking about the risks of sports betting.
I do think that the technology, of course,
lame. Seems like he didn't win big.
Seems like he gave up.
Yeah.
Quitter.
Will accelerate it and also turn people who say they're sports bettors into casino players very quickly, because the need for action speeds up as it progresses as an addiction.
Well, the good news is now with all this growth, the sports betting industry is gonna take a beat and clear their heads and really take some time to get this thing right before we escalate any further.
There's actually even a further holy grail that they're still fighting for, and that they, even at that early juncture back in the 2010s, were looking at as something that was the ultimate goal.
Oh no, what's that, Ken?
And that is iGaming. It's essentially like full casino gambling on your phone. Turn every phone into, like, you know, a blackjack table or a slot machine or whatever that could operate 24/7.
Right now, iGaming is only legal in 6 states, and I'm sure for many of you, combining doom scrolling with doom slotting seems crazy. But also at one point, so was taking this sucker out, dialing up a heater of a parlay and throwing that shit on your Amex. Legally. But think of how far we've come with sports betting. I mean, look at the NFL. In 2003, the NFL wanted to distance themselves from the industry so much they rejected a proposal for Las Vegas to air a tourism ad during the Super Bowl. And now the Eagles are doing paid partnership posts with DraftKings. In 2 days, the Super Bowl is going to be in Las Vegas. If all of this could happen in 6 years, who's to say what could happen in 6 more? 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54, 60. I mean, it's hard to imagine, really. But if anything, it's important to recognize that
America's #1 sportsbook.
FanDuel Casino.
FanDuel.
Wait, no, I'm sorry.
DraftKings playoffs, baby. The crown is yours.
I'm trying to finish the...
Oh, snap. DraftKings new sportsbook app.
For good work,
There's no better feeling than a win, except a BetMGM win.
For good work, I'm Dan Toomey.
But that looks so cool. That looks so cool.
It looks fun as hell.
Yeah.
I want to do that with Jamie Foxx.
That's what I mean. It's like, that's what it feels like when you put $200 down.
Yeah.
I lost $200 on DraftKings because I bet that Travis would propose to Taylor after the Chiefs win. Wait, no, you didn't. That's a real bet.
Can people do that?
I doubt it.
I mean, you might be able to.
I don't fucking know.
In a way, this stream has been the best ad for FanDuel that we could have done together.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Well, that's because I'm secretly advertised by them.
That's why he brought me on here.
Yeah.
Whole thing. Just for FanDuel.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, dude. This was great. Appreciate it. Nice to meet everybody.
Did you get a boost from me watching your video at all, or no? Did you see anything like a noticeable bump?
Yeah. No, it was huge. I mean, again, like, we've only been doing this channel for less than a year, so you watching it, people hearing about it, it's been crazy. We didn't even know that it would grow to be this big. So, and we got a lot more episodes that we're looking to cover. So no, man, I really appreciate that. But
hell yeah,
this has been fun.
Before you go, one last thing I wanted to say is that I asked you about the reaction thing. I remember when we first talked.
Yeah,
and
like a year ago, or how long was that?
Well, it was. I said, big fan of your work, May 24th.
Yeah.
So last year, like almost an entire year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we were going to talk about collabs, and you were like, and you told me that.
Are you?
Can I leak this?
Oh my God. What? I forget what we pitched. Oh, yeah. We pitched a crazy idea.
You were like,
I feel like the chat wants to see it now.
You said we'd be coming from the perspective of a small YouTube channel that's desperate for followers, and we'd be like critiquing your live stream, your form, voice, etc., all in a joke to attempt. What's up, dude? All All in a joke to attempt